Customer blames my employees for stealing something off his car that it was never equipped with in the first place.
So I work as the service manager at a local car dealer. Basically I am over the entire service department, so most of my day is just dealing with complaints, but I had a new one yesterday, and that's saying something. So a customer comes in for just an oil change. This particular customer had never serviced any vehicles with us before. As soon as he checks out, he walks out to his car and pops his hood and notices that his engine cover is missing. Why would you go out and just happen to pop the hood open if you didn't already know it was missing? And proceeds to lose his ever-loving mind. Of course, I get involved. He claims that he just checked his oil yesterday and the cover was there, but now it's not. I walk back to my technician's work area to check and see if maybe he took it off and just forgot to put it back on, which can happen sometimes. In this case, there would be no reason to remove it because it's not required to do an oil change, but I figured I should at least cover all my bases. I check around his work area, his toolbox, etc., and there is of course no cover. I asked him if he noticed it, and he tells me that there was no cover on it when he opened the hood. So I basically tell Mr. Customer, I checked my technician's work area, and spoke with him as well. It was not on the engine when he opened the hood. He continues to lose his mind and accuse my technician of stealing the cover. I looked him dead in the eye and said, "Sir, I'm pretty positive he didn't take your engine cover to put on his entirely different make and model of vehicle." I told him I wasn't buying him a new cover. He proceeds to tell me that he'd be okay with a used one. Another red flag. If you were convinced that we stole it, why would you be okay with a used one? And I told him, just to make him happy, that if I come across a used one, if we have a similar vehicle traded in, for example, I'll see if I can snag one just to make him go away. Fast forward to this morning, walk by the detail department, there is another exact year, make, model vehicle that had been traded in and they were cleaning up for the lot. I pop the hood and, no cover. Thinking there's no way it's a coincidence, I go to my parts department and ask them to price me out a new engine cover. I want the part number and price. Parts guy puts the VIN in and goes, "What engine cover? That vehicle never came with one." So this a whole knew there was no cover. He probably bought it used, and there wasn't one there, and he assumed there was supposed to be, and brought it to us for a cheap oil change because he thought he could just freak out and we'd cave and he'd get one for free. So now, I get to call him Monday to let him know that he is not getting an engine cover, because they don't exist for that vehicle, and we will not ever service any vehicle for him at any point in the future. He is fired as a customer. Have a nice day, jackass.
Cake lady accuses me of smashing her cake twice.
Hey y'all. As an introduction, I'll say that I've been reading/listening to this and other posts from here on a popular site I won't name for a while now. This, however, is my first post and my first time on Reddit ever. Brand spanking new here, so please be gentle. I know enough by now to say that I'm posting from a tablet and don't know WTF I'm doing. I do have a lot of great/funny stories from my days in the grocery store game, and I thought, why not? Let's proceed. At 16, 1994, I got a job as a bagger in a popular grocery chain that shall remain unnamed. It's irrelevant, anyway. I quickly became everyone's favorite bagger around the store, mostly because I actually did my job properly, instead of assing off like most of my juvenile coworkers. It even had regulars, who would deliberately get in line at whichever lane I was stationed at, despite the wait, because they knew I'd bagged their stuff properly. Honestly, it was a lot of fun, most of the time. But this wouldn't be much of a story if I were reminiscing about the good times, would it? One evening, here comes Cake Lady, CL, with a gigantic sheet cake that barely fit into the cart, and a 50-pound bag of dog food. That's it, nothing else. She was an older lady, probably in her 60s, tiny and seemingly frail. But she managed to get her cake, special order from the deli/bakery, custom decorated, and her dog food onto the belt with minimal difficulty. The cashier scanned her 2 items, CL paid, and I was just starting to get them back into her cart when an ear-splitting bellow shattered the relative piece of the entire front end. Cast, Cake Lady, CL, Cashier, C, General Manager, GM, and me. CL, no. I stopped, frozen in place, my hands reaching for the cake to place it gently back into her cart, unsure of how to proceed. C, ma'am? CL, I don't want him, gesturing toward me in a somehow condescending way, even touching my cake. The last time I was here, he completely ruined it. Keep in mind that although this was a big grocery store, it was a small town. I knew the regulars, some even by name. I'd never even seen this woman before, and I certainly had never ruined anyone's cake. I'm overtly conscientious, and if anything like that had ever happened, I would have reported it myself immediately. As I said, I actually took my job seriously. See him? Are you sure? She knew me, and my reputation in the store. CL, Yes. She actually said it like that, hissing with exaggeration like a snake from a Floridian cartoon. He destroyed the last cake I bought, and I won't have him touching this one. She refused any other assistance, and insisted on placing her items back into her cart personally. Mind you, she'd already paid. So, in goes the cake, flat on the bottom of the cart, not the lower rack, just the basket part, and she puts the gigantic bag of dog food, standing straight up at the front end of the cart. Ma'am? Still trying to help, and avert what I see as an oncoming catastrophe. CL, shut the effort percent up. I know what the effort percent and I'm doing. She took 2 steps and, of course, the bag of dog food came crashing down on her precious cake, completely destroying it. CL, FFFU $@ and divided by equals CK. And without another word, she shoved her cart into the wall, hard enough to chip off a chunk of cinder block. That was one strong old lady, and walked right out of the store, without even taking the dog food, let alone the smashed cake, never to be heard from again. Or so I thought. About a week later, I got called into the general manager's GM office. This was odd, because normally any complaints about employees would be handled by supervisors or department managers. This was the big boss, so I was naturally scared stiff. I was thinking that I was either about to get fired, or promoted. It was that serious. I don't recall the conversation verbatim, but it went something like, GM, we've had a complaint so serious that I'm handling it myself. This is the complaint. He proceeded to lay out CL's complaint, which I immediately recognized from the aforementioned incident. Only, it's full of lies. She told him that I had deliberately and maliciously destroyed her cake, not only once, but twice. She'd threatened to sue, wanted me fired, etc. and, unbeknownst to me, she'd been back in the store that week, and had pointed me out to him. Utterly flabbergasted, but sure as hell not caving. Sir? You can ask anyone, either my coworkers or the customers, and they'll tell you I would never do anything like that. Matter of fact, please, ask the cashier who checked out that lady. Better yet, check the security footage. 1994, as I said, but this was a brand new store, with all the bells and whistles they could throw at it. GM, alright. We'll do that. Get back to work. He was actually an awesome boss, who supported his employees. It'll be a factor, if I post about this job again. And with that, I was dismissed, back to my menial duties. Footage reviewed, customer banned, permanently, and I went on about my job, not much later to be promoted to cashier and then Fez, front-end supervisor, with many more stories to relate. Thankfully, I never saw that lady again.
Don't worry, I'm okay for the weekend.
So, I work in retail, but my shop has a large web shop connected, with the same name. A customer from the web shop dialed the wrong number, and reached me in the shop, and not the internet. I get an elderly gentleman on the line. Stern voice. See, I just got an email, that my package is late. Who sent you that email? Was it GLS or company? Name? See, I really have no clue. Can you give me a little more info, so I can try and see what happened to your parcel, mister? C, oh, no, I just called to say, that it's okay, I can go without my parcel for this weekend, and just didn't want you to worry or stress about it. Sometimes people who grew up without the internet are the worst, and sometimes they are the sweetest.
Scratcher Lady.
So we sell scratch games at my store. They range from $1 to $20. This woman comes up to the counter and says, I want 7 number 2s. Well, the number 2 scratcher is a $20 game. She didn't look like someone who has $140 to blow. And my coworker he confirms, you want 7 of the number 2 scratchers? Yes. You want the number 2 scratcher? You want 7 of them? Yes. 7 number 2s. Okay. So he rings them up. Along with something else. Total is $155. She swipes her card. It says total correct on the machine. She hits yes. Then he hands her the scratchers. Sure enough, she starts throwing a fit. Saying she didn't want those. She wanted the $2 number 18 scratchers. She thinks she needs an immediate refund. We can't do that. The transaction has to be voided when we do the paperwork the next morning. My coworker gets the manager. She's going off on him. I vouch for my coworker, I saw the whole thing. My manager asks her, when you swiped your card and the total RRECT button came up, did you hit yes? She confirms that she did. He just asks, why? Lol.
On this cake, draw me and my friends, but if we were all cats doing our favorite hobbies.
I worked as a cake decorator during my undergrad. I worked in a grocery store chain, so we were all about efficiency and speed. I had like 7 minutes per cake to fully assemble and decorate standard case cakes. Lamau, that didn't happen, but I tried. We could have 15 minutes for custom orders. The hours we were allotted for cake decorators for 1 week depended on how productive we'd been in previous weeks. The system counted automatically every time we printed a label for a cake. Once a young guy came in and placed a custom order. I was 22, so he was probably 25, 26. My brain is telling me he looked slightly like a chill type, maybe he had a beard and a beanie. His friend was having a birthday and he wanted a sheet cake. On that cake, he wanted an artistic interpretation of what each friend of his would look like as a cat based on their physical appearances and personality traits. He wanted each cat to have an item that reflected a hobby, like a friend who liked to write would have a notebook, but still as a cat. He also wanted me to write each cat's name so they'd know who was who. He tried to describe each one of his friends to me in terms of appearance, notable characteristics, and hobbies. He had like 8 friends. I wish I remembered how I got out of the conversation and subsequently got out of that order. I usually worked with my manager or my bakery lead, and I feel like the lead took over. We were allowed to reject orders if they were better suited to a specialty bakery, which many were. I don't know why people thought we could do tiered cakes or use fondant. We could turn down orders like this that were straight up ridiculous. It was really funny to me though. I remember the guy being super earnest about the cat cake.
May your day be filled with joy and happiness. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe for more quality content every day.